Star Gladiator of Septimont, Lupa has finally arrived in the second half of version 2.4 as one of the most fantastically designed characters in gacha history, with a fiery kit and the party buffs to bring fusion teams to the pinnacle of performance. With a moveset that appears incredibly complex at first glance, an incredibly agile kit, and some of the biggest damage boosts the game has ever seen. As a fusion, liberation damage focused character that heavily synergizes with having other fusion resonators on her team, characters like Brant, Changli, Encore, and ChixiA can get a ton of mileage out of her kit, but she still has the flexibility to perform in other, more traditional lineups. With that, welcome to our full-scope, comprehensive guide to Lupa, the newest addition to Wuthering Waves, and I'm here to break down everything when it comes to how she works, what her best equipment will be, and the steps you need to take across her team building and rotations to make the most out of her insane damage and buffing potential. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Lupa, with her baseline kit, focuses on the use of her Resonance Liberation and repeated use of her Forte circuit to deliver enhanced heavy attacks and powerful enhanced resonance skills and a massive number of offensive buffs to her team. Her Forte circuit, naturally, is where it all begins. Lupa has a 2-stack Forte circuit called Wolf Flame that is generated through a variety of means. The first is her normal attacks. Her basic consists of a 4-hit attack chain that isn't anything too crazy, but you can time a basic attack during her 3rd stage to immediately transition into an air attack. Her air attacks consist of a 3-hit chain that will not be reset upon performing an air dodge. The 3rd hit lands her on the ground. You can instead hold the attack button to plunge in the air, and after landing, you can press the attack button again to follow up with a special basic attack, Starfall. Her heavy attack, on the other hand, simply consumes stamina and attacks the target. Another method of generating Wolf Flame is through the use of Lupa's resonance skill, She-Wolf's Hunt. This ability has 2 casts, with the first hurling her spear at an enemy to mark them and generate 15 of her 100 total Wolf Flame charges, while the second cast generates 15 more and dashes to the marked target. Those that are marked take 50% more damage from the attack. This second cast is available for 8 seconds and will go on cooldown if Lupa is swapped off the field. After using either of her resonance skill casts, Starfall or a dodge counter, Lupa can attack at the right time to follow up with the second stage of her basic attack chain. All of these attacks generate Wolf Flame, and when Lupa reaches at least 50 or 1 stack, she gains access to an enhanced heavy or mid-air attack. The first enhanced heavy attack, Wolf's Gnawing, consumes 50 Wolf Flame, damages the target, and also generates a secondary resource called Wolf Faith. We'll get to this in just a second. She has a second enhanced heavy attack called Wolf's Claw when you have 50 Wolf Flame and at least 1 Wolf Faith. This deals more damage than her baseline enhanced heavy attack. For the mid-air, when Lupa has 50 Wolf Flame, the 3rd hit of her air attack chain transforms into Fire Strike, which also consumes 50 Wolf Flame and generates 1 Wolf Faith. Lupa does not have a second enhanced air attack for when you have 1 Wolf Faith already. This means your most damaging combos will traditionally involve first casting Fire Strike and then following up with more attacks to build up a second charge and then activate Wolf's Claw. All of these enhanced heavy and mid-air attacks deal heavy attack damage. Wolf Faith has more to it than simply buffing Lupa's enhanced heavy attack. When she has 2 Wolf Faith charges, Lupa gains access to an enhanced resonance skill called Dance with the Wolf. This deals a massive amount of damage to nearby enemies as liberation damage and consumes all Wolf Faith, and it's also castable in the air. After using this attack, Lupa remains on the field for up to 8 seconds and will attack alongside a teammate when they use their resonance liberation. This is dealt as resonance skill damage and can happen a single time before expiring. That's not the only form of this ability though. She gains an enhanced version of this enhanced resonance skill after using her liberation, Fire-Kissed Glory. This ability does a lot. Its first feature immediately consumes all points of Wolf Faith and fully fills up Lupa's Forte circuit. And if she attacks or uses a resonance skill after casting, she'll activate a special resonance skill called Foe Breaker. This ability consumes all Wolf Faith and applies an enhanced state called Burning Match Point to Lupa, which increases all Wolf Flame gain from normal attacks by a whopping 500% and removes her ability to cast her regular resonance skills. When Lupa is in her enhanced state and has 2 Wolf Faith charges, Dance with the Wolf is enhanced even further, dealing even more damage. But that's not all when it comes to this liberation. Lupa also gains the Pack Hunt effect for her entire team for 35 seconds, which increases the party's attack by 6% and also grants a 10% fusion damage bonus to boss type enemies. If there are 3 fusion resonators in the team, this boss damage bonus is doubled to 20%. And when teammates cast intro skills during Pack Hunt, the attack bonus further increases by 6% to a cap of 18% or 2 previous intro skills, functioning very similarly to Shorekeeper Stellar Realm. During pack hunt, teammates will also automatically recover from hits and perform dodges, much like Shorekeeper's outro skill. The final piece of Lupa's liberation is found on her intro skill. At a baseline, this ability simply attacks enemies and can allow Lupa to advance to the third stage of her mid-air attack. But when her intro is used while her pack hunt effect is maxed out, she'll instead cast Nowhere to Run, which removes the pack hunt effect and deals a massive burst of damage to enemies. The last feature of Lupa's kit is a general 12% attack increase for 8 seconds whenever she uses a resonance skill, an enhanced heavy or mid-air attack, her liberation, or her enhanced resonance skills. When factoring in all of Lupa's abilities, resources, and interactions with each other, she has a surprisingly simple playstyle that involves starting the team's rotation with her, single casting her resonance skill, then using her resonance liberation and immediately casting Foe Breaker to enter her enhanced state. From there, she'll perform 2 mid-air attacks, and her third will trigger her enhanced air attack, consuming 50 Wolf Flame and generating 1 Wolf Faith. She'll then immediately follow up with her second enhanced heavy attack, Wolf's Claw, to cap out Wolf Faith, and then use her second enhanced skill, Dance with the Wolf Climax, and then outro skill to another teammate, granting them a 20% fusion and 25% basic attack damage amplification, making her a fantastic pick when paired with units like Brant or Encore. When beginning a second rotation, which starts with her enhanced intro skill, you'll skip the 2 casts of her resonance skill and just immediately use her liberation. Her liberation's cost of all Wolf Faith charges to activate it may appear steep, but in reality, you'll never run into an issue with this as long as you're opening up Lupa's rotation with it. When it comes to her inherent skills, the first allows her to enter an enhanced dash whenever she sprints for longer than 2.5 seconds, and use Starfall when attacking during it. She'll also gain interruption resistance while using any of her enhanced heavy or mid-air attacks. The second causes the cooldown of her resonance skill to reset whenever she defeats a marked target, and also grants her liberation a second buff called Glory. This causes all teammates to ignore 3% of a target's fusion resistance, increasing by 3% per additional fusion character on the team. If all 3 characters are fusion, this gains an additional 6% ignore, making the total at 3 teammates 15%. Lupa is a character that clearly shines when paired with synergistic teammates, and is designed to fully replace the buffing role that supports like Shorekeeper or Farina would provide in lineups. And instead of healing the team, she deals a massive amount of damage. Without the 2 other fusion resonators on her team, she loses significant bonuses like 10% additional damage to boss enemies and 9% fusion resistance ignore, but she remains perfectly viable in traditional team lineups featuring regular supports as a majority of her buffs are still available and she still has respectable personal damage. When it comes to actually building Lupa, starting off with her skill priority, you'll want to max out her Forte Circuit and Liberation as they're the biggest sources of her overall damage. Then you'll actually prioritize her intro skill, as her enhanced intro is a massive nuke at the end of the team's rotation. Next, you'll want to prioritize her resonance skill and basic attacks, as they don't have nearly as much scaling as her other abilities. Lupa is one of the only characters in the game where it's worth maxing out pretty much every single one of her skills. But if you're looking for any place to save resources like weekly boss mats, it's best to invest less in her basic attacks and resonance skill. Now, let's talk about Lupa's weapons, and it's clear she has some very great options from the existing roster. Here's what the calculations are looking like using Lustrous Razor, the standard 5-star, as a baseline. Credits to Pride One. Let's explain these results starting off with her signature, Wildfire Mark. This weapon provides a best-in-class base attack, crit damage main stat, attack bonus, and a split weapon effect that buffs liberation damage by 24% for 6 seconds after an intro skill or liberation. If a heavy attack is used during its effect, the effect is extended for another 4 seconds while also granting the entire team a 24% fusion damage bonus for 30 seconds. This weapon is tailor-made for Lupa, greatly synergizing with her main damage type while also further enhancing her buffing ability for fusion teammates. Another option is Gion's signature, Verdant Summit. This weapon provides identical base stats, a 12% attribute damage effect, and buffs to heavy attack damage after using an intro skill or a liberation. Unfortunately, Lupa doesn't deal a massive amount of heavy attack damage, and she'll only be able to utilize its full effect in the second rotation of most of her teams. It's still a solid stat stick though. A third option is Jinxi's signature, Age of Harvest. This weapon instead provides critical rate and a general attribute damage bonus while buffing resonant skill damage. Lupa deals a small amount of it in her rotations, but at the end of the day, it's mostly a stat stick like Gion's signature. The last 5-star option is Lustrous Razor, the standard 5-star weapon, which provides a massive attack main stat instead of crit and an ER bonus effect. This weapon gradually increases liberation damage, which is great for Lupa, after casting repeated resonance skills. Lupa can actually maximize this effect across her rotation, as she can cast up to 3 resonance skills in most of them, making it a solid choice as long as you can balance crit ratios. When it comes to 4-star options, they're okay but not great. Autumn Trace, the BP weapon, provides low base stats, crit, and a stacking attack bonus whenever the wielder deals basic or heavy damage. Unfortunately, this effect has 5 stacks, and Lupa oftentimes won't be able to fully cap its effect in her rotations. However, it's still still the best option. Helios Cleaver is another choice as a pure attack stat stick, but it can take a while for its full effect to activate, which doesn't line up with Lupa's relatively fast rotation time. All of the other 4-star options don't perform that well on her, so if you're looking for the best budget option, I'd actually go for the standard 5-star Broadblade, which is available quite easily through the UL45 box or the standard weapon selectable banner. Now it's time to move on to Lupa's Echoes, and she has a clear best-in-slot option with Flaming Clawprint. This set grants a 10% fusion damage bonus and a bonus of 15% fusion damage to the team and 20% liberation damage to the wielder for 35 seconds after using a Resonance Liberation, greatly amplifying Lupa's personal damage and supportive ability. However, if you're just trying to get Lupa up and running as fast as possible, she'll perform just fine on Molten Rift. When it comes to her Echo main stats, she'll have identical requirements across both sets. You'll want a crit rate 4 cost, 2 fusion or a fusion attack split on your 3 costs, and attack 1 costs. If Lupa's being used in a full fusion team, either combo of 3 costs works, but if she's being used in traditional lineups, double fusion might be better. When it comes to substats, you'll prioritize crit rate, damage, ER up to 120%, liberation damage, and attack percentage rolls. She can benefit a small bit from heavy attack and resonance skill rolls, but don't go looking for these. The last area of investment when it comes to Lupa involves your wallet or a lot of saved astrite. It's her sequence nodes. Big thanks to Pridewind for calculating the damage increase per node. Her first node causes Lupa's liberation to generate 10 more Concerto energy and also increases her crit rate by 20%. She also gains interruption resistance while using her second enhanced resonance skill. Her second node causes her liberation and enhanced heavy or mid-air attacks to grant a 20% fusion damage bonus to the team for 30 seconds, up to 2 stacks. Her third dupe increases the multiplier of her enhanced intro by 100% and removes all fusion resonator requirements from her pack hunt and glory effects. Her fourth node increases the damage multiplier of her second enhanced skill by 12%. Her fifth node grants her a 15% liberation damage bonus for 10 seconds after using any of her intro skills, and her sixth, the big one, causes her second enhanced resonance skill, liberation, and intro skill to ignore 30% defense. She also generates 100 Wolf Flame after using her first regular skill, and all of her enhanced skills, regardless of whether or not she's in her enhanced state, will be the climax version. Her pack hunt effect will also no longer be cancelled by using her enhanced intro. Now that we've covered Lupa's build, let's get into some of her teams and optimal rotations, and boy oh boy, she's got quite a few resonators she can work with very well. She has 2 archetypes that focus on fusion teams or more traditional hypercarry lineups. There's a great chance you'll be able to make some use of this unit. This means her best partners will be Brant, Changli, Encore, and ChixiA. Lupa's best team on release will feature Lupa as the buffer and DPS, Brant as the sustain and DPS, and Changli as the DPS and DPS. To start off this rotation, you'll single cast Lupa's resonance skill, immediately cast her liberation, then basic attack to trigger Foe Breaker, entering the burning match point state. Then you'll air attack 2 times to fill up her Forte circuit, trigger an enhanced air attack using the third, and then cast Wolf's Claw after landing on the ground. From there, you'll activate her Forte enhanced second resonance skill, outro skill to Brant, Brant will intro in, and then immediately cast his liberation, and then hold down his basic attack button until his Forte is full, before casting his enhanced resonance skill to nuke enemies. Then you'll outro skill onto Changli, who will basic attack in the air to perform a true sight attack, plunge, and then perform her basic attack chain until she gains another true sight charge, before using a ground true sight attack. She'll then skill, true sight, skill, and then true sight, and then use her Forte enhanced heavy attack, liberation, and then a second Forte enhanced heavy attack before outroing to Lupa to perform her enhanced intro. Every Echo skill, aside from Lupa's, should be cast at the end of a character's rotation right before swapping. If you don't have Changli, you can easily swap in a unit like Encore instead, as Brant's buff to fusion and resonance skill damage still complements Encore's damage profile very well. For Encore's rotation, you'll intro in, cast her liberation, use 4 basic attacks followed by a skill, then 4 more basic attacks followed by a dash, and then 4 more basic attacks followed by another skill before charging up Encore's heavy attack and then outroing to Lupa. If you don't have Encore, you can also put in ChixiA in the third slot. For her rotation, you'll intro skill in, hold her skill and consume 30 bullets, then use a basic attack. Then you'll use her resonance liberation, hold her skill again to charge up 30 more bullets, and then use a second basic attack. Then you'll outro skill onto Lupa. All of these teams can still be playable without Brant by mixing and matching, but keep in mind that you will not not have a sustain without him and 3 fusion resonators, losing out on Lupa's full glory and pack hunt benefits. However, if you're looking for a traditional lineup like with Shorekeeper or Verena, Lupa is still viable. Starting off on Shorekeeper, simply build up Concerto on Shorekeeper using her basic attacks, Resonant skill, and Forte enhanced heavy attacks before casting her Liberation to top off her Concerto, use her Echo skill, and then swap onto Lupa. From here, use Lupa's Liberation and then follow the same rotation indicated previously before outro skilling onto a character like Brant or Encore. If you're using Verena, make sure you start off the battle on a different character so you can swap to Verena, advance her attack chain, basic attack until you generate her Forte stack, and then use her Resonant skill, Liberation, and then jump in the air for air attacks until her Concerto is filled before proceeding with the rest of the rotation as usual. This team is likely the most free-to-play friendly use of Lupa, as you can easily acquire units like Verena or Encore from the beginner benefits, making it an easy slot in this lineup even with a limited roster. Lupa also possesses a massive number of swap windows across pretty much every single one of her animations that can make dual DPS or even triple DPS compositions very powerful. But since this is an early release guide made for the average player, we won't dive too much into her advanced mechanics for now. Since we've covered Lupa's team rotation, it's time to talk about hers, and she has an incredibly simple baseline rotation that grows more complex if you want it to. At a baseline, she'll start off the team's rotation and single cast her Resonant skill. From there, you'll use a regular attack to trigger Foe Breaker, and while in the air, use 2 attacks to fill up her Forte circuit, and with the third, use an enhanced mid-air attack to consume half of her Forte circuit and gain a Wolf Faith charge. After landing, you can immediately use an enhanced heavy attack to fill up her Wolf Faith, and then use her buffed enhanced Resonance skill. This is a relatively fast rotation that will immediately fill up her entire Concerto bar and allow her to outro skill to a teammate. When you're starting a second rotation, or really starting with her enhanced intro skill, you can skip her 2 Resonance skill casts and instead immediately use her Liberation. What you might have noticed is that we're never actually using her regular enhanced Resonance skill. This is an early guide, so keep in mind that there might be more ways to optimize Lupa's rotation further, so be on the lookout for more follow-up content if you're interested in new tech. At the end of the day, Lupa is one of, if not the strongest support DPS hybrid released in Wuthering Waves, with a simple to use but difficult to master kit, incredible team-wide buffs, and one of the most fluid playstyles ever released, with her main drawback being her need of other fusion characters in the team to trigger her full buffs, and the specificity of those buffs. However, it's fair to keep in mind that Kuro Games likely doesn't want to make one character a permanent feature on every team for their buffing ability alone, like, other games. So these roster restrictions, in light of overall game balance, do make sense. Lupa still has a fantastic free-to-play team featuring 2 standard characters and incredible synergy with the existing limited cast, that can only grow in the future as more and more fusion characters are released, so any player, regardless of their investment, has the opportunity to gain a lot of value from having her on your account. Is she a must-pull? Not really, but she is really damn fun to play. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.